When we hear the story of the Garden of Eden
through the Bible's perspective, we get a dumbed-down, chopped-up version of what a possible origin story could be because we don't understand what they're talking about. A lot is left to the person's imagination. The story is not complete. So what if I told you that there is a complete story? Would it prove that the Bible plagiarized the Sumerian tablets? Considering that the Sumerian tablets predate the Bible by thousands and thousands of years. I have the real Garden of Eden story. So let's dive into the real story of Adam and Eve. But they weren't called Adam and Eve. They were called Adamu and Tiamat. To the Absu, away from Eden, let them be expelled. This is the seventh tablet. So did Enlil the command decree. From the Eden to the Absu, Adamu and Tiamat were expelled. So if up until now no one has ever told you who Eve's real name was, and they were like, okay, we've heard of Adam, the Adamu in the Sumerian history, but we never heard of Eve. Yes, you did. She's there. Just that no one studied enough to tell you about it. In an enclosed among the trees, Enki then placed to know each other. He left them. With joy did Enki see what Ningizida had done come to be. With child Tiamat was frolicking. Ningizida is thought the Atlantean priest king, but his real origin name was Ningizida. In this passage, he is playing with Eve when she was a little girl. Remember, her origin name is Tiamat. With joy did Enki see what Ningizida had done come to be. Nimma came, the birth giving to watch. A son and daughter, twins to the earth beings were born. So Adam and Eve, the first kids they had, were twins. A daughter and a boy. It was never Cain and Abel. Wonderment did Nimma and Enki watch the newborn. How they grew and developed was a marvel. Days were as months, months to earth, years accumulated. By the time Adamu and Tiamat had other sons and daughters, the first ones by themselves procreating. So here it's telling us that Adam and Eve's first set of twins, that was a boy and a girl, were already making their own children and were a couple by the time that Adam and Eve started making other children. Before one Shar of Nibiru had passed, and one Shar for them is 3,650 years for us, the earthlings were proliferating. With understanding were the primitive workers endowed. Of commandments they were comprehending. Here it explains how the primitive worker race that they had made, so remember Adam and Eve, Adamu and Tiamat, they were in Eden, which Eden was like a zoo scientific facility, experiments. This is how I see it. A closed facility with high walls and a gate. Those who were in charge of guarding it were the so-called Watchers, where I call them the army of the Anunnaki. I want to say that now the workers have a higher intelligence. They understand more. So basically, Enki is still making them smarter and smarter as he goes along. And once it was perfected, that is the one that they called Adamu and his female companion Tiamat. And they were in Eden, protected, guarded, not like the other ones outside of Eden. To be with the Anunnaki, they were eager. For food rations, they toiled well. Of heat and dust, they did not complain. Of backbreaking, they did not grumble. So as you can see, like these primitive people worked very much for their ration of food. They didn't complain about the heat, they didn't complain about the dust, they didn't complain about the hard work. Everything the Igigi complained about, the worker race did not. Of the hardships of work, the Anunnaki of the Absu were relieved. And I just said this about the Igigi. They were all happy that they no longer had to be in this underworld Absu, working their butts off and breaking their backs. The vital gold to Nibiru was coming. Nibiru's atmosphere was slowly healing. And it goes on to say how the Earth mission was very satisfactory for them. It was working. Among the Anunnaki, those who from heaven to earth came were also espousing and procreation. The sons of Enlil and Enki, from sisters and half-sisters, from healing heroines, took spouses. The life cycles of Nibiru, were they endowed? By earth cycles, were they quickened? Which is telling us that they would age more rapidly on Earth, even though on their planet they were endowed with almost eternal life. They lived thousands and thousands of years. On Earth, that was not so. To them, on Earth, sons and daughters were born. Then they became the demigods, the hybrids. Who on Nibiru in diapers would still be, on Earth became a child. Who on Nibiru began to crawl, when on Earth was born, was running around. They literally aged and grew faster on Earth as well. So how many mind-blowing truth bombs in just the 7th tablet? We find out about Adam and Eve, we find out their real names, we find out about Eden, we find out about the thousands of other workers, we find out about how these workers wouldn't complain as long as they were fed, and we find out that on Earth, the Nibiruans themselves would age more rapidly and grew faster compared to the ones born on Nibiru. If you'd like to know more about Nibiru and the tablets, drop a comment and ask me anything.